Well, hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Well, we've finally got a bit more news to report on lately. There's been a bit of a lack of Star Trek news to report on in the last couple of weeks. We've obviously had our Prodigy episodes and everything hitting us on a weekly basis, but beyond that, it's been very quiet on the Star Trek news front lately. But we've finally got some new content to talk about, and this is the form of some new promo images that have come out for Star Trek Picard Season 3, where we're seeing some more characters. We get to see another view of Worf, his costume, his makeup, all that sort of stuff, which we haven't seen before. We've got some shots with Riker and Picard and everything, and some stuff on the Titan. There's a couple of interesting photos to go through that showcase what we might be up for in Season 3 of Picard. So they're definitely worthwhile having a bit of a look at. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, please don't be scared to do so. Click on that big subscribe button to stay up to date and current with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. Okay, so let's get into having a look at these new photos for Picard Season 3. So our first photo is courtesy of TV Line, and it shows Picard and Worf in the transporter room of the Titan A. The look of the transporter room is certainly interesting. It's a little bit different to the transporter room on the Enterprise we're seeing in Strange New World. It looks a little smaller. It probably looks about the same sort of size as the transporter room that we saw on the Enterprise back in the day and so forth. So that's interesting, that difference in size that we're used to in transporter rooms. It's not as a cavernous space as the one on Pike's Enterprise. But I like the blue and the gold. That's a nice look for a transporter room. And we're seeing Picard in an outfit here with mainly black with a bit of texturing on there, sort of almost like diamond-shaped texturing or quilting. He's got a bit of a stripe down the shoulder there on the back of his uniform, so that looks kind of cool. And Worf's obviously got a spin on the new Klingon outfit. He's wearing a Starfleet comm badge, so he's still part of Starfleet. However, he's not wearing a Starfleet uniform in this shot. He's got his Klingon sash on there with an emblem denoting the House of Martok that he joined during his time on DS9. And it's a little interesting, this costume he's got on. We've got some pleating and everything on the front there. We've got some geometric patterning on the arms and an interesting kind of shoulder piece as well. So it's kind of a cool look. It's probably not as heavily armoured as most Klingon uniforms tend to be, so it's a little bit more casual. And we obviously see Worf packing the Kurleth, which is the new Klingon weapon that's been designed by Dan Curry, who designed the Batleth for Next Generation. They brought him back in again to design a new Klingon weapon in the form of this Kurleth that Worf's going to be using in Season 3 of Picard. So that's looking pretty cool, equipped on the back of his outfit there. And we get to see a little bit more of the makeup and everything on Worf here. I know I was probably a little bit critical in one of my very, very early videos of Worf's makeup. I think I've gotten used to it now. I think it looks good. It's done a good job to bring in the style and everything of what Worf looked like during Next Generation and the feature films and everything in DS9. Obviously the main difference being we get to see Worf's ears, which we've never done before, and the fact that his mustache is joined in the middle, where previously it had that little gap in the middle there to form this sort of more, I guess what you'd call it, sort of Fu Manchu style mustache. So that he's got the whole mustache going, the whole coverage over the lip now. But apart from that, look, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Worf in Season 3 of Picard. So I think this is a good look for him, and it'll be interesting to see. This is most likely the first meeting for perhaps a while between Picard and Worf in Season 3 of Picard. In our next shot, we see Beverly Crusher, and this is most likely one of the first appearances we see her in the new season. The season's going to open on Beverly and whatever she's doing. She's on board a ship that isn't a Starfleet ship, and she's basically working as kind of like a freelance doctor, like a Doctors Without Borders kind of routine, where she's sort of going around and sort of helping out on different worlds medically. And look at the jacket she's wearing here. Obviously, we've talked about that before in previous videos. Very inspired by the Star Trek II away mission jackets we saw Kirk and the others wearing. So there's a great deal of influence there in this photo. And we can probably see a little bit more detail in the jacket than we saw in previous images. We now see the sort of more of a geometric pattern, sort of a three-pronged, almost flux capacitor looking style printing on the jacket there, and it's sort of a bit of a navy blue kind of colour, or a sort of a dark royal blue sort of tone in this. And yeah, I'm guessing is from one of the first times we're going to see Beverly when she gets in trouble at the start of the new season there, and obviously has to call Jean-Luc for a bit of help. In our next photo here, we've obviously got Picard and Riker sitting in this bar having a chat. We've seen this this location before in previous trailers for Picard. We've obviously got Picard and Riker in casual clothes, not in their Starfleet garb, and they're drinking some whiskey. They're drinking Swarford whiskey, which I believe is a fictitious brand of whiskey that has been featured times before on previous shows that have been made by Terry Matalas. I think whether it was on 12 Monkeys or one of his other shows has featured Swarford whiskey. It appears they're drinking Terry Matalas's personal brand of whiskey in this scene. We've got Picard wearing the kind of, the lightweight travelling hat kind of thing, which is very age appropriate for him, I guess. We're seeing some Starfleet flags in the background there. We're seeing both the original series feature film Starfleet emblem as well as the kind of next generation era Starfleet emblem as well. Beyond that, there's not a great deal of stuff we can discern from the background. It's sort of a little bit out of focus. We've got mostly humans here in the background, not too many aliens. This is most likely the scene we see between Picard and Riker where Picard's obviously got some message from Beverly, she's in trouble, and Picard's coming to Riker for a bit of help and say, hey, can you get us a ship? Because we've got to go help her out. In our next photo here, we've got Picard and Riker, what would most likely be on board the Titan now, based on the ships there in the background. This, I'm guessing, is the observation lounge on board the Titan, because I did read somewhere that we're going to see Titan models on the back wall of the Titan observation lounge, much like we used to see the models of the Enterprise and so forth in the observation lounge back on the Enterprise. So we've definitely got a few previous iterations of the USS Titan there in the background. I think we've got the Shangri-La class version of the Titan most obvious there in the background between Riker and Picard. And the one in the centre, I'm guessing, is the Lunar class, the one we know to be Riker's main Titan that he flew around in for most of his time after leaving the Enterprise. Picard's wearing his Chancellor's pin. He's got the Starfleet emblem there with the Chancellor of Starfleet Academy kind of crest on it that we saw him wearing back in season 2. And we've got Riker in uniform. He's wearing a Starfleet uniform. We've got a zipper thing down the front, sort of a bit of a captain's jacket thing going on. Burgundy on the shoulders and down the arm. This is a little bit different than we've seen in the previous season. So we're sort of restructuring the uniform yet again. It's sort of a little bit of a variation on what we've seen in the past. But whether this is kind of like the captain's jacket equivalent, and obviously Riker holding the rank of captain with the 4 pips there on his collar. So this is probably in a scene where we've got our characters in some sort of briefing scenario in the observation land on the Titan, talking about what they have to achieve and whether it's helping Beverly out or what the overall mission is. It looks like that's kind of the crux of what these guys will be doing. Most likely, our first episode of the new season of Star Trek Picard. So there's some really interesting visual images from the new season of Picard. We get a bit of a look at some of the new costumes in a bit more detail and some of the sets as well, so that's really interesting. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's in store for us in season 3 of Picard. It's surely going to be a cracker of a season, being our TNG reunion show, but also, maybe some DS9 characters or some Voyager characters. I have heard some news that Terry Matalas has said that we're going to be getting some cameos from ex-DS9 characters, as well as potentially, extra Voyager characters beyond 7 of 9 as well. So it's certainly going to be a really rip-roaring season, I reckon, and I can't wait for it. Guys, leave some thoughts in the comments section as you do. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of these images for the new season of Picard, and we'll get chatting about that. Meanwhile, also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Leave a super thanks if you're able to. Really helps the channel out, particularly, around Christmas time. Appreciate your super thanks for all the hard work I put in during the year. That would be most appreciated. Thanks very much for all your support, and of course, check out my merch in the merch store, where you can pick up, hoodies, mugs, caps, t-shirts, you name it, all there. Great designs such as this one, all done by myself and available for, very often, very good and reasonable prices. Guys, I will catch you very soon with my next video, and I'll see you soon.